Yeah. Ain't no more quiet now. Nah. Tell them run that back. I said, hands up, head high, 10 toes. They monetize pain while the truth get froze. Big talks online, but they hearts stay cold. Still fighting for rights that was promised long ago. Ooh. We ain't your silence, nah. We ain't your fear. Hey. Every time they shut a door, we appear. From the city to the globe, here the people get loud. You can bury one voice, but you can't stop the crowd. Yeah, I'm from the side where the pressure make diamonds, where mothers pray hard cause the system stay violent. Kids learn trauma before they learn signs. Politicians campaign while communities dying. Look, everybody tweeting, everybody streaming, everybody woke till the camera stop beaming. Truth don't trend when the money intervening. That's why the real ones exhausted and screaming. Big change, fake morals, podium capping. Whole lot of hashtags, ain't nobody action. Trying to sell the vision with celebrity distractions. Meanwhile, rights disappear through strategic reactions. Close schools, close polls, close cases. Still see hate written all on their faces. History repeating, just switching the phrases. Different decades, same games, new stages. And they wonder why the people don't trust. Every headline feel dangerous to us. Every promise turned dust, but we still rise up, 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 rise up. Hands up, head high, 10 toes. They monetize pain while the truth get froze. Big talks online, but their hearts stay cold. Still fighting for rights that was promised long ago. Hey, we ain't your silence, we ain't your fear. Every time they shut a door, we appear. From the city to the globe, here the people get loud. You can bury one voice, but you can't stop the crowd. Yeah, now everybody playing God with the algorithms, programming narratives and calling it the system. Who decides truth? Who decides wisdom? If the future artificial, who protect the children? Too much rage in the timeline scrolling. Young minds vulnerable, anger overloading. Everybody radical when the fear keep growing and the world stay tense while the missiles stay loaded overseas. War drums, contracts get signed. Oil, power, money always hide behind pride. More folks pay while the billionaires glide. And the news turn trauma into primetime vibes. Talk peace with a smile. It's bigger than left or right, bigger than red or blue. People just wanna live. People just wanna breathe. People just wanna matter. But every generation gotta drag justice uphill, while somebody profits off the chaos. That's the part they don't say out loud. Hands up, head high, 10 toes. True hit harder when the beat line rolls. Can't sell fear to a soul that knows. Power to the people, let the whole world know. We ain't your silence, we ain't your shame. If the people wake up, everything changed. From the city to the globe, hear the whole crowd roar. You can't dim light when the spirit won't war. Rise up, even when they try to divide us. Rise up, even when the pressure find us. Yeah, yeah. Still here, still loud, still fighting love. GoldenQueen, yeah. Hey. Talk to 'em. History don't sleep. Let's go. They told us hush, now they hear the thunder. Every page they buried, now we bring it under. Hidden in the margins, written in the scars. Built the whole nation, still they lock the doors. Now I'm kicking hinges, breaking every chain. Knowledge is my weapon, truth inside my veins. Buffalo spirit, soldier mentality. Fought for every freedom, still denied humanity. That's fact. Medicine, politics, sports, revolution. Every generation built another institution. Typewriters turned into microphones. Now we write the future with a kingdom of our own. Who built it? We did. Who changed it? We did. Who survived it? We did. Now they wanna rewrite. We live it. We live it. History can't erase our victory. Never kings, queens, royal pedigree. Crown. Every generation flying, changing fate. Flojo speed like lightning strikes. Venus Arena, changing every mic, breaking every bracket, every stereotype. Pressure make diamonds, now we shining bright. Dr. Bristol, white coats, black excellence. Leadership, pure intelligence. Randolph March didn't beg, demanded. Power never given, it's commanded. Stonewall nights, fire in the streets. Marsha stood tall, wouldn't face defeat. Different identities, one counting cause. Justice don't discriminate, neither do these bars. They fear an educated woman, fear an organized people. Feel united movement, come on, because truth always outlives evil. Africa calling, Caribbean flames. Freedom in geography is breaking chains. Mozambique rising, colonizers falling. Every freedom fighter still here, I'm calling. Madagascar, South Africa, to Mandela dream. Now the whole world knew. Barefoot runner, Olympic gold. Couldn't chain greatness, couldn't buy that soul. You sang fast, riches. Every black champion worth more than gold. WW won World War, still ignore. I came back home, started every war against oppression, against fear, against lies. Now our voices touch the skies. Real dope, they can censor books, but not the people. Hide our names, but not the sequel. Every child, every elder, every mother, every teacher, every freedom preacher, we are the history, not your version. History, tell them, build civilizations, change the world, still standing, still demanding, still expanding. Black excellence, black persistence, black persistence. Every single dingle, 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 dingle. History ain't behind us, it's inside us, inside us. If they erase one page, we'll write 10 more. If they close one door, we'll build 10 more. Hey, this ain't just remembrance, this is recruitment for the next generation. Let's go! Wait, 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 the history. We are the history. Freedom forever. Black is village. Freedom forever. Black excellence. We the history. They thought we wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Yo, Imani, talk your talk. Facts, facts. I came with receipts, I ain't come to play. Expose every lie they've been selling all day. Head held high, I ain't ducking no smoke. So, truth hit harder when the system broke. Talk to 'em. I came with receipts, every file got names. Everybody loud till accountability came. We ain't moving in fear, we applying that heat. Better tighten up now, cause I brought the receipts. Let's go, let's go. See the cameras flash when the hearings start. Whole room shook when they spoke from the heart. Trying to cut me off, now I claim my time. Every interruption just exposed the crime. History long, but the memory longer. Pressure make diamonds, pressure make stronger. You can twist headlines, spin every thread. Can't rewrite facts when the truth been said. Everybody gangster behind that desk. To the numbers show the public been stressed. Families hurting while they paint pretty pictures. Meanwhile, pockets getting thin about a minute. Facts. Don't stop capping quick gas like games. People buy eggs with a pocket full of change. You can fake statistics on a PowerPoint slide, but the checkout line don't never lie. Who gon' speak? We will. Who gon' fight? All night. Who gon' stand when they kill our rights? We will. We will. I came with receipts, I ain't come to play. Expose every lie they've been selling all day. Head held high, I ain't ducking no smoke. Truth hit harder when the system broke. Let's ride. I came with receipts, every file got names. Everybody loud till accountability came. We ain't moving in fair, we applying that heat. Better tighten up now, cause I brought the receipts. Courtrooms echo, but the streets hit louder. Every bad ruling made the movement prouder. Take one vote, then we register 10. Built from the block, let the people win. Can't silence voices born from struggle. Built these dreams through pain and hustle. Grandma marked so I could speak Now I'm 10 toes down every single week. Every chapter got another revelation. People waking up across the nation. Ain't no crime without confrontation. Truth is the spark for transformation. Wake up, ain't about left, ain't about right. It's about wrong hiding under bright lights. Question everything, don't question names. Power belongs to the people, not the fame. If they tell you hush, if they tell you wait, move now. If they tell you quit, if they shut one door, if they shut one door, build more doors. Look. Look, I don't need permission. I was born with a mission. Every generation got a choice. I'm choosing resistance. Feel like a weapon, mic like a torch. Truth keep burning till it let the hope pour. Kingdoms fall when the people unite. Darkness disappear when they turn on the light. Ain't chasing black, I'm chasing change. Every verse another broken chain. Break it, break it, break it. Every sister standing up. Every brother finding peace. Every time watching us. Learning courage, don't decrease it, multiply. I can't move its seats. I ain't come to play. Truth don't fall when the headlines fade. Built for the pressure, built for the fight. We keep pushing to the future, look bright. Let's go. Hands to the sky, voices repeat. Justice ain't giving you earn every seat. From the block to the ballot, from the mic to the street. We ain't leaving to the people. Complete the mission. The mission facts, the movement. Stand up, no fear. We brought the receipts. Truth.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden, and we are back with another live, y'all. We are back to our regular scheduled program. And as you can see, y'all, we got to do some global Black history. So if y'all care to join us, pull up a seat and take some time out of your day, we really appreciate it. It is about 3:16 p.m. here Eastern Time in the United States, in the Carolinas. And the sun is kind of doing a weird thing. It's like up and down, up and down, up and down. However, it's out enough for me to be in a good mood, y'all. So I'm in an excellent mood today. Y'all know what that means, right? When the sun is up. And it's not raining, so that makes me very happy. I hope you guys are having an excellent day in whatever respectful time zone you guys are in, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Happy Thursday, y'all. We almost made it to Friday. So we about to the end of the week again. It seemed like this week kind of flew by. I don't know if y'all felt that, but I felt that. It seemed like it just went by really, really fast. But yeah, I did take a day where it was just like, we weren't really doing nothing too serious and nothing like that. And Imani took her day off as well. However, she's back today, and we're gonna get into this global Black history. So, Imani, girl, what's up? How you doing? How you feeling? What's going on with you? What you been up to? What's the tea?
Um, I'm good. I had well, it was half work, half restful. Watching some movies, doing some work, some administration, talking to our IT guys as well. Yeah, a few things going yesterday, so it was a good day yesterday. Relaxing, half work. The sun is still shining here, but there's a lot more breeze, so it's cooler than it has been. Um, yeah, and I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to doing this global Black history. Yeah. But apart from that, everything else is okay.
That sounds good. I'm glad you was get you, some relaxation. We always need that, child. And this summer has been very hot. It's been like overly hot in different areas or whatnot that typically don't get that warm. And so, like people have been trying to stay cool and stay safe and stay inside, and stuff like that. And it's always good to take a little break, especially from this social media stuff, girl. It can be a lot. But I'm glad you had a day off. But you are a busybody and a workaholic. So, child, even when you off, you working. So, that is how you are. That's how I am too. Like I can't sit still. I gotta work. I gotta do something. And so, you say you taking the day off, but it's really not a day off. You're doing other stuff. You just may not be doing it here on the platform. But I'm glad to hear that. We do have a little bit of housekeeping to get into, right? Before we get into the meat and the potatoes of the live. You want to go ahead and kick that off a little bit?
Yeah, why not? You know me, I like to clean house, so to speak,
You keep a
as
very
we
clean
do,
house.
as we do here.
Okay.
No, because I wasn't obviously around yesterday, so I missed your live. I did want to have a little bit of my say about what was discussed yesterday. And I'll just kick it off with this. Now, here's my view on what you discussed in your live yesterday, which I listened to this morning. You know, I want to talk about something that's much bigger than YouTube, um, and any other social media platforms. As we get older, our role in life changes. You know, when we're in our 20s and 30s, as I'm in my 20s, as you know, Golden, we're still finding our way. We're learning. We're making mistakes. We're figuring out relationships and who we want to be. And by the time we reach our sort of late 40s and 50s, many people look to us differently. We become mentors, advisors, parents, grandparents, and role models. Whether we ask for that responsibility or not, our words carry more weight because they're supposed to come with life experience. And this is why I found some of the situation you were talking about very disappointing, because here we had someone who's in her 50s talking about two women in their mid 30s and a man in his early 40s, all adults, fully capable of deciding who they wish to speak to, forgive, or associate with. Yet someone who is got at least 15 to 20 years on these three people, has chosen to spend hours publicly analysing their friendships, questioning their motives, speculating about why they reconcile, and inviting her audience to judge and decide on decisions that are ultimately those people's to make. You know, and I listened carefully to some of as much as I could stand of her commentary, because it wasn't a discussion about important things that are going on, like public policy, current events, or really important issues. It was several hours spent analysing friendships, motives, and personal decisions of three adults. She questioned, why does Golden keep going back? Why does she forgive Maggie? Why is she friends with her again? What does Ralph have to do with it? But here's the things. Those aren't the questions that only Golden can answer. They're questions that only Golden needs to answer. None of us is entitled to an explanation about another other's adult friendships, and we don't concern ourselves with her friendships. Throughout the live stream, she described Maggie, or as she likes to call her, Maggot, in extremely negative terms. She calls her dangerous. She's not on the up and up. She warned that another creator not to associate with her, suggests she chases clout, and repeatedly paints her as someone who betrays people. And whether people agree or not, that's opinion. It's only an opinion. Then she shifts her focus to you. And she says she doesn't dislike you as though it matters in the scheme of world affairs, but she repeatedly describes you as someone who keeps going back, keeps forgiving, keep putting yourself in the same position. She compares you going to Maggie's panel as walking back into a lion's den or a snake pit. Again, that's her interpretation, not a fact. Then she brings Ralph into the conversation and she speculates that Ralph is always involved when Maggie is involved and wonders whether your friendship with Maggie has something to do with Ralph. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. But it's all speculation once again. And what concerns me is there comes a point where commentary stops being about what people have publicly said and starts becoming about what they imagine they think, why they think they behave that way, why they think their private relationships mean. These are very different things. And unless you're part of those relationships, you don't know. And why, oh, why do you really care so much? I mean, do we not have any content? Do we not have enough things like Nolan Wells and the government and other stuff like Sydney, Paris Hilton going on? No, not for her focus, because any chance she gets to bring you, Maggie, Ralph into a conversation, she runs with it like the game ball. And we've most of us by our mid-30s and 40s have experienced relationships then friendships that don't work out. We've fallen out with people, we've forgiven people, we've decided to move on. Sometimes we've reconciled, sometimes we've chosen not to speak to them again. But those are personal choices, and they're not for YouTube audiences to vote about. And no commentator gets to become the referee in other people's friendships. This is why we don't have unity, because people are always sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong. And often with age comes the opportunity to exhibit wisdom. But this doesn't exist over there. It's not knowing everybody's business. Wisdom is knowing when someone else's business isn't ours. And if you have a daughter watching you, one of the greatest lessons you can teach them isn't how to analyze other people's friendship. It's how to respect other people's boundaries. It's how to disagree without becoming consumed with someone else's life. It's how to recognize that adults have the right to make decisions that we wouldn't make ourselves. Healthy maturity means accepting that people will sometimes reconcile, they'll sometimes forgive, they'll sometimes make choices we don't understand. And those choices don't directly affect us. We don't need to build an entire public narrative around them. And then at the end of the day, all three of you are adults. If you choose to speak tomorrow, that's your decision. If you choose to never speak to each other again, that's your decision. Neither outcome requires approval for someone with a housekeeping bell from a hotel, for God's sake. And the most important question is why do they keep talking to each other? Better question is why are you spending so much time analyzing it? Why let adults live their lives? That's the example of maturity that you should try to set. And there's another thing that you do that really grinds my gears, and you know who you are. Yeah. You use people's possible financial struggles as a roast, where they live, whether they receive public assistance as a punchline. What are we talking? What are we teaching our children? Are we teaching them to measure a person's worth by their circumstances? Are we teaching them to mock those who may be facing hardship, disability, illness, or unemployment? Or are we teaching them empathy, humility, and compassion? Because every family can face a difficult time, a job loss, an illness, a disability, or an unexpected crisis can change someone's circumstances overnight. And there's no shame in accepting lawful support when it's needed. The real measure of your character is not whether someone lives in Section 8 housing or receives benefits. It's how we treat people who may be going through difficult times. And if our children grow up believing it's acceptable to ridicule people because they're poor or need assistance, then we're not just creating cruel comments, we're teaching a lack of compassion. Society is judged not by how it treats the wealthy, but how it treats those who need a helping hand. And that's a lesson worth passing on to the next generation. As well as my last point, you can only use people's appearances as a roast or if they receive benefits. What exactly are you trying to teach your child? Would you like your daughter or son to grow up believing that a person's value is determined at how they look, how much money they have? Every one of us looks in the mirror and may not see things we like, but you using it to roast and bully someone 20 years your junior. We don't choose how we look. Some of us can afford to change the things we don't like. And many aspects of our health and the circumstances we're born into make us look how we do. And children are always watching, and they learn from our actions far more from our words. And if they see adults mocking someone's looks or financial circumstances for laughs, because I'm sick of it, really sick of it, they tend to grow up believing that bullying is acceptable as long as it gets attention or applause. And it's different if there's a back and forth. But the person whose hair you're constantly talk about never talks about yours. And you're 20 years her senior. Check yourself. This is the sort of toxic stuff that needs to be checked because it's no longer a back and forth when the other person is not responding to you. It's just about you and how you behave. And at your age, you're supposed to be mentoring people, the coming generations. And that was my pet peeve for today. But apart from that, I'm okay.
Well, well, well. Ding, ding, ding. Let me ring the hotel bell. Yes, y'all, I got some things that I want to get into when it comes to housekeeping as well. But Lord, that was a lot. I don't know if I can follow up with it. Um, I just got a few things I'm going to address y'all, and then we're going to get into our excellent live that we have planned for y'all today. We will be talking about some, global Black history or whatnot. But yeah, child. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Let's just jump right into it. All right, so number one, and it's not really funny, but I do see there's an uptick of this, and this is going to piggyback off of what Imani is talking about. And a lot of this type of energy that we've been seeing, coming from a certain individual and others, can fall under the lines of classism, right? Social status and safety nets. So I want to speak directly on a topic that affects many families, yet carries far too much unnecessary shame. It's classism, social status, and the weaponization of public assistance. We live in a culture that loves to judge people by their economic status. Too often, when someone falls on hard times or relies on programs like Section 8 or SNAP or EBT, people try to slap a negative moral label on them. We hear the old tired myths that people using these benefits are freeloaders and they're lazy, or that these safety nets exist only for one specific group of people. Well, let's look at the actual facts, the data, and how these programs really operate. Let's talk about the national picture, right? So, when it comes to SNAP and Section 8, let's start with SNAP. Every single month, SNAP provides nutritional assistance to over 41 million Americans across more than 22 million households. Roughly 79% of those households include a child, an elderly family member, or a person living with a disability. When it comes to the demographics, nationally, the largest single group of SNAP recipients are actually non Hispanic white Americans, and that falls in the 38% to 44% uh, ratio, followed by Black Americans second, which is 25% to 32%. And then we have Hispanic Americans at 20% and 24%. The Asian and Native Americans and multicultural families make up the rest. When it comes to Section 8 housing, over 2.3 million households rely on vouchers for housing stability. Nationally, non Hispanic white families and Black families each account for roughly 38% equally of voucher holders, while Hispanic families make up maybe around 20%. Let's talk about something. Um, that this person, I don't know if they know or not, but let's talk about the specific data in Texas, right? So, over 3.4 million Texans rely on SNAP benefits. In Texas, Hispanic residents make up roughly 45% of the recipients. White residents make up 30%, and Black residents make like 22%. Nearly one in three SNAP recipients in Texas are Caucasian or white, spanning rural counties, towns, and big cities. State data shows that about 40% of Texas SNAP households have at least one working adult, meaning these are employed people working jobs that just simply don't pay a living fair wage for them to earn and be able to pay for food and bills at the same time. This is due to inflation and other things that's happening within our governmental structure. But if people pay closer attention to that, they would know that. So let's talk about being paid into the system. The biggest myth to dismantle is the idea that people receiving benefits are taking free money. The safety net is something working people pay into throughout their lives. Even if a worker is in a low wage bracket, they pay into local, state, and federal treasuries through every purchase and paycheck. Let's talk about it. A lot of people didn't really know, and they probably get a little bit frustrated when they see their paycheck and they see that there's a lot of deductions that come out of it before they get their money. So let's talk about payroll taxes, FICA, FICA. Every worker with a paycheck pays 6.65% straight into Social Security and Medicare, matched by their employer, which is 15.3% total earned value. We also have to understand that there are sales and utility taxes. Low wage workers spend almost 100% of their earnings immediately on survival for things such as gas, food, clothes, bills, paying state and local sales taxes, or nearly every dollar that they earn. And then there's property taxes. Landlords pass property taxes directly down to renters inside their monthly rental payments. So when someone is using SNAP or housing vouchers after working for years or while working a minimum wage job, they are utilizing an insurance policy they help fund. Public safety nets are public infrastructure, not charity. I just wanted to put that out there because I think some of the less intelligent don't really know these things before they want to use something to weaponize onto others because they think they're better than. And I think that that disgusts me. Now, moving on to my part two of my housekeeping. A lot of things have been talked about and said when it comes to forgiveness, boundaries, and personal choice. So, for my second housekeeping, I want to address something. This just brought up way too much for me. Okay, people often discuss who I choose to forgive, who I extend chances to, and why certain individuals don't seem to get grace while they seem to get grace while others don't. But I want you to be very clear about how I operate. Number one, it's my personal choice. Nobody else carries my spirit, my peace, or my responsibilities. Who I allow in my space, who I reconcile with, and how I manage my relationships is entirely up to my personal discernment. And guess what? Forgiveness is not always a public spectacle. Just because you didn't see a public reconciliation doesn't mean forgiveness didn't happen. People assume I haven't forgiven or given someone a chance without realizing I may have extended grace quietly, observing from a distance, listening and giving opportunities for growth when they didn't even know I was paying attention. When someone shows me through their actions that their direction hasn't changed, I make the choice to pivot and move on. And here is the truth. Moving on does not require hatred, harm, or continuous drama. You can forgive someone, choose not to keep them in your inner circle, and walk away in complete peace. You don't have to attack people, talk down on them, or carry bitterness just because a door has now closed. You have the full right to navigate your healing and your boundaries as loudly or as quietly as you choose. So I hope that clears some things up for people when it comes to them being confused about how I move. And for my final part, which is the third part of housekeeping, before we segue into our content, redefining receipts, facts, history, and real knowledge. Let's address this concept of receipts that everyone loves to throw around online. People come onto these platforms waving screenshots, clip snippets, and private messages calling them proof. But let's be clear about what real true facts and evidence actually is. Screenshots are not a substance without history. Anyone can pull a 5-second clip or a single text message out of context to paint a narrative. True evidence requires understanding the full history of a situation, what happened before, what happened after, and the real context behind the actions. Knowledge over noise. Real facts are rooted in knowledge, truth, and documented history, not emotional outbursts or selective edits. If you don't know the full history or possess deep knowledge of what it is you're speaking on, you aren't presenting receipts, you're just spreading gossip and standing in truth and unity. On this channel, we stand on truth, royalty, and unity, bringing real receipts, meaning we're coming with factual accuracy, historical context, and intellectual integrity, rather than using half truths just to tear someone down. My journey is about truth, peace, and elevation. I give grace where I see fit, I set boundaries where necessary, and I ground my commentary in real knowledge and history. With those housekeeping notes set, let's transition it into our main show. Do you have a few things that you would like to add, Imani? Or did you want? We did have a really cute clip. You want to play this clip real quick, bro?
No, I think we'll play it another day if it gets to it, because otherwise we will be going forever.
Sure you don't want to play it? Are you sure you don't want to play it? Are you
Well, you
sure
can
you
play
don't?
it without the sound. This is what it reminded us of when we were watching that live, where things were being assessed. But it's just a case of know better, do better, or mind your own mother effing business, please. Find some
Right.
content. There's loads of things happening. Please. But
Because
yeah,
when you don't,
we were watching a clip, and this is what this breakdown of this relationship and who should be friends and who shouldn't be friends reminded us of. Yeah, play it muted in case people want to try and strike.
I'm just saying, like, with these set individuals, when you sit up there and you're doing the things you do, it kind of just makes people see you in a certain way. And I think that this is pretty much, what we see when we look at you. But you wanted to get a little bit messy, so let's do it. It's a shame we couldn't laugh along together, y'all, because this daggone YouTube channel, child, how they be. But child, that's what I see. And I even got a better one for real, honestly. But
Th-
we didn't hold
We'll
it too
leave
much
that one
time.
for another time. We'll just find out if we can play it
So,
next time. But should we get into the Black History content? And that person is tapping a housekeeping bell as he's speaking.
it's definitely housekeeping. Definitely. Child, can we get one of them bells? Because we need it for our housekeeping. Where'd you get that from? Did you steal that from a hotel somewhere at the front desk? We're just curious. Why you keep tapping that bell like that? Anyway, moving
Okay,
on.
let's move on to the Black History, babe.
Let's get into it. So anyway, y'all, let's get into our global Black history for today, y'all. You know we have some things we're gonna cover, and we do it for a certain week, and we're trying to stay on top of that or whatnot. Sometimes we gotta do 2 weeks, but if we can stay on top, we can do two. So each week we journey through history to remember the people, movements, and defining moments that have shaped the Black experience worldwide. Our goal is simple: to educate, inspire, and ensure these remarkable stories continue to be told. So today we're traveling across 5 regions of the African diaspora: the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, the Caribbean, and to explore significant events from the week of July 27th to August 2nd. In the US, we'll revisit pivotal moments like the 1919 Chicago race riot, the silent parade, and the adoption of the 14th Amendment, alongside trailblazers like Mary Eliza Mahoney, James Baldwin, Whitney M. Young Jr., Buddy Guy, James Barrick, and Marcus Garvey. We'll then head to Canada to commemorate Emancipation Day, the founding of British Columbia, and pioneers like John Sullivan Dease and Mifflin Wistort Gibbs. Across the Atlantic, in the UK, we'll examine the Slavery Abolition Act, Caribbean NHS nurses, the 1981 Toxteth Uprising, and the Windrush Generation. Our journey continues through the Caribbean, exploring the path to full freedom, Trinidad and Tobago's Black Power movement, the U.S. occupation of Haiti, and African cultural traditions. Finally, in Africa, we'll honor World War I African soldiers, the birth of the OAU, the anti-apartheid movement for Nelson Mandela, and the strength of Pan-African heritage. These stories across different countries and centuries share common themes of courage, resilience, leadership, and nation building. Black history is far more than a story of struggle. It is a story of achievement that has shaped the modern world. It isn't just Black history, it's a world history. So, wherever you're watching from, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Black History Across the Globe with Golden and Imani, where we honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. And so, y'all, those would be some of the topics we will be talking about on this live. So, we're going to go ahead and get into that right after this song break because we are at about 45 minutes and we're going to dive right into the topics. So y'all come right back with us if you care to join or you care to learn, or if you already know. We appreciate you coming to rock with us for these few hours. We will be right back.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let it ring out loud. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea, like the mighty waters. Sing a song faith that the dark past has taught us. We remember it all. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Hope is alive, yeah. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on. Let's keep marching till victory is won. Stony the road we trod. Bitter the casting ain't right, but we're still here. In the days when hope unborn had died, we didn't give up, no. Yet with a steady beat, not our weary feet. Come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the federal truth. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our freedom
All right, y'all. So I am back. Thank y'all for rocking with me with that quick little song break. I just had to go ahead and give JJ a little snack, y'all. But let's go ahead and dive right in, okay? And so we have a few topics that we're going to be talking about. I will be covering, the United States and Canada, and Imani will be covering, she's going to be getting into the Black British history and also speaking on the Black Caribbean history and also speaking on African Black history. Child, you be doing a lot, girl. But yeah, she'll cover those three and I'll cover the first two, right? So let's get into a few things over these past 2 weeks. I'm sorry, this past week historically, that stands out when it comes to some of the United States history. So we have July 27th of 1919, which is the Chicago race riot, and it was called Red Summer. 17-year-old Eugene Williams was unalived at Lake Michigan after crossing an unofficial segregation line, sparking a week of violence, resulting in 38 unalivings and over 1,000 Black families being displaced. Structural racial violence in the 20th century urban America and marks a turning point in Black resistance and organization. We also have July 28th of 1868, which was the 14th Amendment, and it taking place. Officially declared part of the U.S. Constitution, granting citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, including formerly enslaved African Americans. The key points here is that it's established the Equal Protection Clause, forming the core constitutional foundation for the modern civil rights movement. In July 28th of 1917, we had the Silent Parade in New York City. Nearly 10,000 African Americans marched silently down Fifth Avenue to protest lynching, racial violence, and the East St. Louis massacre organized by the NAACP. The key point here is this was one of the first large-scale nonviolent mass civil rights demonstrations that happened in the United States. We do have a few videos we'll play in between y'all after we get done with this quick read through. We're also going to go on to July 29th, 1895, the first National Conference of Colored Women. Leaders, including Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin, assembled in Boston, laying the groundwork for the National Association of Colored Women. The key point here is highlighting the organizing power of Black women fighting for education, voting rights, and civil dignity. On July 30th of 1822, we had James Farragut becomes the first bishop of the AMZ Zion. Varick becomes the first bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, cementing an independent black institution. Independent black churches served as central hubs for education, civil rights, and organizing. On July 30th of 1963, blues legend Buddy Guy was born. Born in Louisiana, Guy redefined modern blues guitar through his innovative emotional style. Directly influenced generations of guitarists, including Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, and Stevie Ray Vaughan. In July 31st of 1921, civil rights leader Whitney M. Young Jr. was born, executive director of the National Urban League and one of the Big Six civil rights leaders. Spearheaded economic justice, corporate integration, and employment access for African Americans. On August 1st of 1879, Mary Eliza Mahoney graduates as first black professional nurse. Graduates from the New England Hospital for Women and Children, becoming the first professionally trained black nurse in the United States. Opened doors for black healthcare professionals and advocated for equal opportunities when it comes to nursing. On August 2nd, 1920, Marcus Garvey launches Back to Africa program. The UNIA's first international convention gathers in New York to promote Black economic independence, pride, and Pan-Africanism. Created one of the largest mass movements for Black self-reliance in world history. And finally, August 2nd, 1924, author and intellectual James Baldwin was born. Harlem-born author of Go Tell It on the Mountain, Next Time, and Notes of a Native Son, provided piercing moral clarity on race, democracy, identity, and justice in America. So that concludes the United States segment, but we do have
There's.
a
Did
video
you do
that will
Garrett
show.
Morgan? Did you
I
do
don't
Garrett
have
Morgan?
I don't have that on mine.
Oh, Garrett Morgan, July 27th, 1963. He was a brilliant inventor whose innovations included an early gas mask and the traffic signals. Why does this matter? Well, Morgan's inventions have saved countless lives and continue to influence modern safety systems. His achievements remind us that Black inventors have played a vital role in shaping everyday life, often without receiving the recognition they deserved. He reminds us that Black innovation has always helped move America forward. Sometimes the inventions we rely on every day come from names history has forgotten to celebrate. Okay? Sorry, I probably missed that out when I sent you the docket.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much for adding that in. I'm glad you was able to, add that one in because I just didn't have that on my list. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the video because we have a few that we can share. And we'll play those and then we'll get on to Canada. So let me get this popped up real quick, y'all. Give me just a second. This one is going to be about the Red Summer. So a lot of the things that we read through, we have a few short, small videos that we're going to show you as well. Just because sometimes, it does help to kind of visualize what's going on and not just necessarily listen to it. So let's go ahead and put this through. Give me just a sec to get this popped up. 1 second. Okay. Let me put my banners up, y'all, and I'll be right there. We'll watch this together and then we'll join each other in the chat per usual. So let me get this popped up. And take this down. This StreamYard is acting so stupid. Okay, here we go. Let's get into it, y'all, and we'll meet y'all in the chat as we watch together. Did it come down? There we go. Got it.
It's called the Red Summer. Race riots in dozens of American cities in 1919, including Chicago.
Here, tension mounted for months as African Americans migrated from the South needing jobs and housing. White Chicagoans resisted with violence.
And as CBS 2's Jim Williams reports, it all came to a head 100 years ago tomorrow.
My mother was crying.
Juanita Mitchell, today 107, carries a childhood memory, the frightening noise of a mob right outside of her home.
What was the noise like?
Oh, they were just yelling at us. All of a sudden, I heard my uncle say, "Here they come." And when he said that, it meant that the white folks were coming down 35th Street.
35th Street, where she lived with her family in Bronzeville. White gangs were looking to attack African Americans. Juanita and her little sister hid behind a piano.
Yes, my sister and I were very afraid. We didn't know what to expect.
Just one sliver of the violence that engulfed Chicago 100 years ago this week, when Juanita Mitchell was 7 years old. The 1919 Chicago race riots left an indelible mark on Miss Mitchell and the city.
The riots in Chicago shaped Chicago socially, racially, economically for the next 100 years, up to this very day.
It began on the lakefront on July 27th. A line, though informal, was ironclad at the 29th Street beach. Whites on one side, blacks on the other. Eugene Williams, a young black man on a homemade raft, drifted over to the white side of the lake. A white man hit Williams with a rock, and Williams drowned.
The man who threw the stone was identified by other African Americans, and the police were called and told, "Here's the guy who threw the rock." But the police refused to arrest the thrower of the stone.
A black man fired into the crowd and was gunned down by police. Over the next week and across miles, the riots killed nearly 40 Chicagoans, most of them black, injured hundreds, and left thousands homeless.
Whites really tried to attack and invade and otherwise terrorize black communities in Chicago.
But white gangs met resistance. African American soldiers, just back from World War I, stood guard.
And they knew how to fight. Didn't want to, a battle they didn't ask for, but they weren't going to just take it lying down.
That spirit of resistance would later inspire black Chicagoans to build businesses and seek political power, making it possible for Chicago to elect African Americans mayor decades later.
But I think that that's less to do with Chicago having open arms and welcoming us, and more to do with determination, perhaps coming out of those riots, that we are here and we're going to make our place here, regardless.
Still, the riots left a bleak legacy, strained relations between the black community and police, and racial segregation.
White institutions start finding ways to informally and formally segregate. If we keep people separate, then maybe there won't be more rioting.
An impact felt across Chicago for generations, but it was at the doorstep of a 7-year-old girl that Juanita Mitchell saw the racial strife and its terrifying consequences.
And we were afraid to death.
Afraid to death. It was a terrible time, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Jim Williams, CBS 2 News.
And after those riots, city leaders appointed a biracial commission to investigate what happened and to suggest how to prevent more violence. The conclusion: better education, police-community relations, better housing, and jobs. Issues we still discuss a century later.
All right, y'all, let's go ahead and pop up this next video. We're going to try to get through these quickly. So this next one we're going to show is a silent parade protest march. It's a moment in history. Excuse me. Groundbreaking civil rights demonstration in New York City on July 28th of 1917. On this day, tens of thousands of people, men, women, and children, marched silently down Fifth Avenue in New York City to call for anti-lynching legislation and to protest racial violence in the United States. The march was organized by the NAACP and local community leaders and was attended by more prominent activists like W.E.B. Du Bois and James Weldon Johnson, taking place 4 decades before the start of the modern civil rights movement. The silent parade was one of the first large-scale organized protests against racial violence in the United States, helping to increase the NAACP's visibility and set the stage for further civil rights activism. So let's go ahead and get into this video real quick, y'all, and we'll move right on along through these. Meet you in the chat, and I'm gonna check some of y'all messages in the chat while we're watching together. Let's get into it.
Of all pretty sights to be seen, summer nights, there is not one that can compare with the beautiful sight to be seen every night on the pike at the St. Louis Fair. There are folks of all nations, of all presentations, enjoying a treat all the life. So don't stay away, start out there today, and with you take sweetheart or a wife. And the ghost rolling on the pike, it's a place I'm sure you like. It's not like Safari or dear Coney Isle, there are things to be seen that will cause you to smile. As you stroll along the pike, you'll be ready
All right, Imani, you can go ahead, girl. I know you got a few things that you wanted to add in and say as we play this in a bit of silence because it is a silent march. Um, so I think that
No,
this
no, no.
kind of
I'll leave
adds.
that to you. I've got enough to do with Africa and the Caribbean. I think you've got
Did you
another
want
two
to say
videos, haven't you? I mean, that was just a sample of the silent march, really, which was
something?
interesting. So, have you got another couple of videos? I think you've got another couple of videos, haven't you? But I mean, you can see
Yeah,
Dr. King there. I can see Dr. King there in the middle of that crowd.
we also have the Women's Club movement, right? So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of that. Um, But basically, what that's about is Black women have been no stranger to organizing since America's earliest inception. But it would be during the Reconstruction era that Black women were able to elevate their messaging and form their own group called the Women's Club, focusing on holding Americans to its founding principles. Women across the country gathered together to highlight injustices like lynching. The success of these meetings led to the formation of the National Association of Colored Women, where groups' scope widened to include issues such as voting rights, housing, and other race related matters. Despite many male figures protesting women as they utilized their voices, the women's club movement became a vital part in supporting women in their rights to speak and organize. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all a quick little clip about this. It's not too long,
Um,
it's about 2
sorry, I
minutes.
just wanted to ask. Sorry, Adam Davis. It's not a mystery that the victim mentality is repeated trauma that traps your people in a cycle of hatred. No, this is about teaching people about what came before us and the fact that some of these cycles are now being repeated with the current administration, that it's now in our present day. But there are also good things that came from this, like the civil rights movement. So, no, it's not trapping us in a cycle of hatred. Maybe you need to go and read a few books and find out we don't have a cycle of hatred here. We hope to educate, inform, and enlighten people to what came before them and why people shouldn't waste time on petty little arguments and toxicity, as we were speaking about in housekeeping. So, you know, we're not grieving about it. We're informing people because they're not teaching these things in schools anymore. So we're picking the week that was in Black history. That is why we talked about the man who invented the gas mask and the traffic light signals. You know, some positive stuff that happened, like Emancipation Day. But hey, we're not going
Imani,
to get upset about that because if you're here to
no,
troll
no, no,
us,
no,
it's
no,
not really
no,
going to
no, no, no,
work.
no, no, no,
No,
no,
if
no,
no,
no.
no, the point is, Golden,
I
if the
didn't know
person
that
is
you,
here
I
to
didn't know
troll
you wanted to
us,
respond because I
hold on
was.
a second. Golden, can I just finish what I'm saying? The person is here to troll us and try and trigger us into thinking that this is going to make us get upset. You're on the wrong platform.
It's not a mystery, ladies. The victim mentality is repeated trauma that traps your people in a cycle of hatred. Hmm. Interesting that you say that. So we're trapped, right, in a cycle of hatred. And it's because of our victim mentality. But yet, even as soon as 1 week ago, we're seeing our black youth being unalived and not getting proper justice. So explain that to me. Explain
No,
that to me. It's
I
2022.
don't think this person wants an explanation. They want to have an argument and try and trigger
And
people.
I'm gonna tell you, like, honestly, I ignored them. You addressed them. I will
No,
block them.
I
I'm
was
not
just addressing the comment because it was a comment that was in the chat and the person is continually commenting. So I think you got the attention that you wanted. Okay.
yeah.
But
And I would advise them to continue to comment because the more you comment, the more you prove us right. So have at it while we get into this
no, the
video.
more it increases the engagement and helps to get the video pushed out, actually. So thanks for commenting. I'm not upset about that comment because like I said, there are people that come to troll, they don't come to be informed. and it really doesn't bother me. It's comments
This
like
person
that is
said,
what. It's comments like that. Hold on a second, Golden. It's comments like that is why he needs a history lesson.
right, and we will give it to you. And you're not here to trigger, you're just here to listen. But yet, all you've done since you've gotten here has been putting comments in the chat. So, very telling. Anyway, let's get back into the video. We'll be right back.
Black women began organizing to force our country to live up to its ideals from the time of its founding. During Reconstruction, a new generation picked up the mantle, expanded their mission, and by the last decade of the century, their well-known slogan captured the communal spirit of the women's club movement, lifting as we climb.
By the end of the 19th century, African American women, as part of the club movement, were fighting against all of the injustices that African Americans were experiencing. But one of the most important issues that they worked on was anti-lynching.
In the 1890s, the pioneering investigative journalist Ida B. Wells lectured widely through the British Isles, shining a light on the horrifying injustices that Black Americans were suffering under Jim Crow.
There were prominent men who opposed what she did. A woman talking so frankly, they thought it was unfeminine, they thought it was problematic. And so when she was getting flack from men, it was the women's clubs that did support her.
In 1895, club women were further spurred into action when Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin received word from the secretary of the London Anti-Lynching Committee. She had received a letter from a white male journalist containing a scathing attack on the virtues of Black women. In response to Ruffin's call to action, Black women held a national conference in Boston. The following year, the National Association of Colored Women was founded with a new objective: defending the honor and the dignity of Black womanhood.
There's a lot of emphasis on ideals of womanhood that are really a response to the general degradation that Black women experienced since slavery, and the depiction of Black women as lascivious and licentious. So you see lots of women who are activists sharing a notion of Black womanhood that is respectable, that is decent, that is self-respecting.
By 1920, Black women in the club movement focused on almost every area that touched upon people's lives, from housing to voting to discrimination, and leaders such as Mary Church Terrell, Fannie Berry Williams, and Mary McLeod Bethune became very active in the political arena, fighting for social justice and civil rights.
So many of the women that you find in the late 19th and early 20th century who really emerge as leaders in the Black community are coming together in order to think about how to move forward, setting the tone for what will be institutional life for Black people for the coming century.
All right, y'all. So thanks for rocking with us for that quick video. I believe we have, let me see, about
Apologies, Asha. I think that was a fat
yeah,
finger,
no, yeah,
Golden.
after
Timed you
I'm,
out.
I'm gonna take it off. Don't worry. While I'm watching it, I'm gonna try to figure out how to take that off. It wasn't supposed to be Asher. It was supposed to be that Adam person, whoever that was, because I just had about enough of that. So I had to go ahead and just get rid of that.
I was fine.
But I hit
I was
it
fine.
by
Let
accident.
them troll. The point is the point is it's just meant to trigger. So which video are we on next?
Okay, so the next one, hold on, that's not it. Oh God, these people see.
I think you got number 4.
All right, hold on.
I think it's this is the Buddy Guy one.
Yeah,
No, that's
there
not
it
it.
is.
That's not it. That's not it.
No, it is in order. Is Buddy Guy is next, and then we have um the one that we have
You
to get
got
into when it
Buddy
comes
Guy is
to,
next.
yeah, that's the next one. So let me go ahead and pop that up real quick. Yeah, that just really threw me off. Like I cannot. I don't have the tolerance, you know what I mean, to just sit there and let people troll like that. Like, you have to go because you don't know what you're talking about. You're coming in here to be disruptive, and I don't care for it, not one bit. So please leave us be and go back where you came from. But yeah, let's get into this video, and then we'll meet in the chat. And we got to move this right along. We don't want to hold the
Yeah.
people up too, you know. But I'm gonna
No,
get Asher
we're
back.
doing good for time. We're doing good for time. We won't be that
I'm
long.
gonna get Asher back though, because that wasn't meant to be for Asher. That was meant to be for Adam, whoever that person was. So I hit the wrong name. But I'm gonna figure out how to bring it back up. So let's get into the video and I'll fix it, okay?
The life and sad ending of Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy was born George Guy on July 30, 1936, in Lettsworth, Louisiana, U.S. He was one of the 5 children born to the couple. Musically inclined since young, he gained a strong interest in melody and harmony, which is visible from the fact that he created a makeshift 2-string guitar from a piece of wood and few hairpins. When he turned 19 years of age, he started working as a custodian in Baton Rouge at the Louisiana State University. No sooner he bought for himself his first acoustic guitar, he started playing at clubs in and around Baton Rouge. The summer of 1957 changed the course of life for this budding enthusiastic musician who resolved to pursue a career in music. While he was honing his skills, he was inspired by the awe-inspiring musical capabilities of John Lee Hooker, Lightnin' Slim, and Guitar Slim. Upon his friend's suggestion and with a personal will to earn a better living for himself, he left for Chicago in 1958. Reaching Chicago, assisted by fellow bluesman Magic Sam, he signed a contract with Cobra Records. He continued to record singles for the company for a year until it closed down. He then met Otis Rush, who introduced him to 708 Club, a place that would eventually turn the life for him. While performing at the club, he met his idol, Muddy Waters, who in turn was deeply impressed with the fresh talent that Guy oozed out. His music was very well accepted by the club audience, which led to him becoming a frequent performer. It was while performing at the 708 Club that he was noticed by composer Willie Dixon. With Dixon's assistance and contacts, he finally managed to bag a contract for himself with the Chess Records. His early years of music were dominated by both conservative and business choices made by the Chess record label. He wasn't given the freedom to perform in his own novel style and had to stick to the choice laid out by Chess Records founder, Leonard Chess, who so much so tagged the former's style as noise. Throughout his career with Chess Records, he served as an in-house guitarist to back Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Little Walter, Sonny Boy Williamson, Coco Taylor, and others. He even performed for Coco Taylor's Wong Dang Doodle and Howling Wolf's Killing Floor. In the 1960s, he started recording singles in R&B, jazz instrumentals, soul and novelty dance tunes. However, none of his recorded singles were ever released by the label. Finally, in 1967, his debut album, I Left My Blues in San Francisco, was released. The album was styled to cater to the needs of the soul era. Following year, he ended his association with Chess Records and went on to sign a deal with Vanguard Records, with an aim to experience creative freedom. The same year, he released his second album, A Man and the Blues and Hold That Plane. In 1969, he appeared on stage for the Super Show at Staines in England. He performed along with the likes of Eric Clapton, Led Zeppelin, Jack Bruce, Stephen Stills, Buddy Miles, Glenn Campbell, Roland Kirk, John Heisman, and The Misunderstood. In 1970, he released the album, Buddy and the Juniors on Blue Thumb with inputs from harmonica player Junior Wells and pianist Junior Mance. Over the course, he developed a cordial relationship with Junior Wells, with whom he released his next venture titled, Buddy Guy and Junior Wells Play the Blues. His other releases of the 1970s decade include South Side Blues Jam, In the Beginning, Play the Blues, I Was Walking Through the Woodses, and Got to Use Your Head. By the 80s, his popularity gradually declined. The diminishing popularity graph slowly witnessed a revival during the late 1980s and early 1990s. His 1989 initiated blues club, Buddy Guy's Legend, which became a favorite hangout joint for blues musicians. Later on, he accepted the proposal of Eric Clapton to perform on stage at London's Royal Albert Hall during the guitarist's multi-night run in 1990-91, which sparked off positively for him. Eventually, he signed a new contract with Silvertone and released his debut album with the record label, Damn Right I've Got the Blues. The album instantly soared his popularity to newer heights, subsequently making him one of the most prominent blues guitarists of the 90s. The album, Damn Right I've Got the Blues, sold more than 500,000 copies, earning a gold record. It included contributions made by Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Mark Knopfler. Upon the successful business of Damn Right album, he released his next album with Silverstone 2 years later titled, Feels Like Run. Following year, he released, Slippin' In, with the label. In 1996, he came up with his next album titled, Live, The Real Deal, and 2 years later came up with, Heavy Love. The decade of 1990 ended with his release, Buddy's Baddest, the best of Buddy Guy. To date, he is going strong with significant albums that have added a new dimension to blues music. Additionally, he constantly tours all through, performing at various clubs and festivals around the world, including his own club. He is the proud recipient of 6 Grammy Awards for his work on both acoustic and electric guitar and contemporary and traditional forms of music. In personal life, Buddy Guy has been married twice and has 8 children. The first time he married Joan Guy, they had 6 children together and divorced shortly thereafter. In 1975, he married Jennifer Guy. They have 2 children together but also not happy with how long they divorced in 2002. Probably, right now is his worst time when his health is slowly deteriorating. Thank you for listening to the story about the life of Buddy Guy. Like and comment on your opinion in the comments section below.
All righty, Imani, you got a few things you want to talk about when it comes to some of those videos we've seen so far and some of the history that we covered so far, as
No,
we
I
move.
just wanted to give, because you're getting to the end of the American stuff, and after each section, I have looked up some relevant movies for this period or this week. Um, there's a there's a film called, the first one for the US is a film called The Great Debaters, and that was made in 2007, and it
I
stars
love
Denzel
that movie.
Washington.
That's a really good
Denzel
movie.
Yeah, Denzel Washington. It's a powerful true story about Wiley College's debate team during the Jim Crow era, highlighting education, resilience, and civil rights. And it connects to this week's themes of the 14th Amendment, civil rights, black education, and leadership. Another film is 688, and this was directed by Tyler Perry. Now, these are only recommendations, and I've got to tell you, I haven't seen this 688 either, but that was made in 2024. Why watch this? It's the inspiring true story of a only all black, all female women's army corps unit to serve overseas during World War II. And the themes are obviously black women, military history, leadership, and overcoming discrimination. Number 3 is James Baldwin, I'm Not Your Negro, made in 2016. It's a documentary narrated by in James Baldwin's own words. And it's perfect alongside James Baldwin's birthday, which was August the 2nd. Number 4 is Harriet, the story of Harriet Tubman. It's an excellent discussion because obviously it's Emancipation Day is August the 1st, about freedom, courage, and resistance. And the last one I've got is a PBS documentary called The Freedom Riders. It's one of the best documentaries, allegedly one of the best documentaries on the civil rights movement. So that's my 5 films for the US. We will put this stuff in the description so that if people want to look up films and see some visuals on this, because it's not only about the talking and the short videos, it's about sometimes watching the films and gives you more of an insight. Some people are more visual than, auditory. But that's my 5 films for the US portion of this.
Thank you for that, Imani. And like I said, one of those films I did actually see, it was really, really good. But the rest of them, I will go and check them out. I love to watch films like that and that type of genre of film. And guys, please excuse me. I didn't mean to lose my cool there, just because a troll came in. But this is really serious content that we're talking about. We are going through really serious things as a people in this world right now under our administration, especially here in the US, but also globally. People are being affected and dealing with things as well. And so I just don't play when it comes to us having, certain serious conversations. And we're talking about Black history. That is something that is near and dear to my heart because I'm a Black woman, uh, you know, and many others as well. But also, even if you're not Black, it's just like you even have the respect enough to sit and spend time with us and listen and learn maybe things maybe things you don't know. And you just have that respect to do that. And we appreciate each and every one of you that does that. And anyone who wants to come in and, interfere with that piece and that structure that we have going on here with our production, it really bothers me and rubs me the wrong way. And I'm not in my best mood today. Honestly, I've got a lot of other things going on and, personal things and stuff like that. So I'm trying, and I lose my temper and my cool sometimes. So I appreciate that. I apologize for that, but I appreciate y'all for understanding. But anyway, we're going to move right along. So now, with full disclosure, I don't, and this is a disclaimer, I don't claim to know anybody else's history that lives in another country better than they know it, right? Because I don't live there, I haven't experienced it, but I do research, I do read, and I want to know because we connect with so many beautiful people all over the globe, right? And I think our due diligence that we can have is to just get to know one another better. And part of getting to know one another better is understanding our history, our roots, where we come from, things that we struggle with, things that we've gone through that have shaped us and, made us into the people that we are today, the adults that we are today. And so when we do report on these things, it's not always because we have a full insider, right? Or have lived it and fully understand it, standing feet on the ground in these areas. It's because we care enough to look into it, right? And so, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to our second segment, which is the Canadian history, right? So, we had some things, historically within the past week, right? That we're reporting on that has happened when it comes to Canadian Black history that we need to be proud of, we need to talk about, and we need to learn if we don't already know. Because our history is one history, despite where we live and where we reside. When it comes to us being Black and brown people, I feel as though we really should care about our history globally. And that's why we do this segment. And so let's go ahead and get into it, y'all, because y'all know I talk a lot. So, moving forward with Canadian history, right? On August 1st of 1834, slavery abolished and Emancipation Day in Canada. I cannot read today.
Emancipation Day.
Thank you. Okay, I cannot read today and I ain't got my glasses. Emancipation, say it again. I cannot say it.
Emancipation Day. Emancipation Day.
Emancipation. Emancipation Day in Canada. Child, y'all, I'm thrown off. Okay, that person thrown me off, but I'm getting back to it. So anyway, so what happened? The Slavery Abolition Act comes into full force across the British Empire. legally emancipating over 800,000 enslaved Africans, including those in British North America. So, freedom isn't the finish line. It's the starting line. Emancipation ended legal slavery, but Black Canadians still had to fight for equal education, employment, voting rights, and full participation in society. We also have August 2nd of 1858, the establishment of British Columbia. British establishes the colony of British Columbia. Governor James Douglas, who had mixed African Scottish ancestry, actively invites Black settlers from California to settle in the colony. History isn't only about escaping injustice, it's also about building something new. These Black pioneers weren't simply looking for refuge, they helped build one of Canada's newest colonies. The question for me is how much of Canada's Western development was shaped by communities that history rarely acknowledges? That's a good question. Anyway, we'll move on to the summer of 1858, the Black migration from California. Hundreds of African Americans moved north following increasing racial discrimination after the Dred Scott decision, bringing skills, capital, and determination to Victoria and Vancouver Islands. Migration is often portrayed as running away from something, but these pioneers ran toward opportunity. They wanted their children to inherit dignity, property, education, and a real future. What can we learn from communities that chose hope despite total uncertainty? Let's talk about John Sullivan Dees and the Fraser River salmon industry. South Carolina born pioneer John Sullivan Dees became one of British Columbia's most successful entrepreneurs by establishing one of the province's earliest major salmon canneries. When we talk about Canadian industry, names like John Sullivan Dees deserve to be remembered. Along mainstream business pioneers, Black excellence has always been part of Canada's economic history. Why do we often learn about major industries without learning about the Black innovators who helped build them? That's a great question, something for us to think about. Let's move on to Mifflin Wistar Gibbs, the Black political leadership. Arriving in BC in 1858, Gibbs becomes a leading merchant newspaper publisher and the first Black person elected to public office in British Columbia. Mifflin Gibbs didn't wait for someone to hand him influence. He built businesses, entered politics, and proved that leadership is earned through service, vision, and determination. Here's a question. How many pioneers helped shape modern nations but remain largely unknown because their stories were never widely taught? That is something that we are trying to change, and that is something that they are trying to take from a lot of school systems and educational structures to erase the history and make it seem like there weren't people that were fighting, that were standing up and using their education and their skill sets to bring change, justice, and a better future for our children, which is us, that's our ancestors. They did that. And they didn't just do that in the United States, they did that all around the globe. And a lot of these names need to be remembered, they need to be talked about. And this history, needs to be something that we learn if we don't know. And so if anybody likes to come here and learn a little bit with us and kick and chill and laugh a little bit with us, we appreciate that. And we will do this and continue to do this to all histories. Right now we're doing Black global history, but we can do our research and learn about all histories. And we're welcome and open for you guys to tell us what we don't know, because we're always open to learn, especially when it's people we rock with, we kick it with. We want to know more about you too. But Imani, you go ahead. I gotta get some water. My throat is so dry.
Yeah, whilst I'm waiting for Golden, because she's got a little small video about the migration from Canada forward, I'm just going to talk about a few significant figures for this week. So in the US, we got Eugene Williams from July the 27th, and he was a 17-year-old black teenager who's unaliving on June the 27th, 1919, helped ignite the race riot, as we heard, the Chicago race riot. Then we have Josephine Weldon Johnson, July the 28th. Sorry, James Weldon Johnson. And he was a writer and a diplomat and a civil rights organizer and a future leader of the NAACP. He helped organize the 1917 silent protest. We've got who did I have? Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin. She was a journalist, a suffragist, and an organizer who helped bring black women from across the country to Boston for the first national conference of coloured women, as it was called. James Varick. James Varick became the first bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church in 1822. Whitney M. Young, born July the 31st, 1921, as we heard before. Mary Eliza Mahoney, August the 1st. She's the first black professional nurse in the United States. Again, James Baldwin and Garrett Morgan. All these people should be remembered during this week of the 27th of July to the 2nd of August. And as soon as you finished, are you back, Golden? Because then I can move to the Canadian people. Nope,
Yes,
she's
girl,
not
I'm
back.
back.
All
No,
right.
I'm back.
Uh,
Thank you so much. I just
yeah.
need to give you.
Okay. Yeah, you get that video ready, and I'll just give you a little run through for the Canadian figures. Let me know. Oh, you got the video ready?
Yeah.
Okay, you go, and then I'll do the Canadian figures when you finished.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, let's get into it, y'all. We'll meet y'all in the chat. Let's play this video real quick about a little bit of our Canadian Black history. And like I said, with the disclaimer, we don't claim to know more about Black Canadian experiences than what they know, because it is not our history and we don't live there, but we do our due diligence to research. And I believe that all of our history as Black people is one history. And if you really love and care for your people, then you'll do your due diligence to learn about it. And so let's go ahead and get into this video real quick, y'all, and we'll meet y'all in the chat. Did you have a few things you wanted to say, Monty, before we start the
No,
video?
no, get into that. I'm just gonna repeat a few of the names after you finished in Canada.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do it.
The discovery of gold in California in 1848 set off a rush of Americans to the Golden State to seek their fortunes. Among them were Black Americans with hopes of greater freedom in the far West. But a decade later, a Black exodus from California was triggered with a most unlikely destination. Why did so many Black people abandon their California dream? And what did they find at their journey's end? While Go West was a popular 19th century admonition, the West worked hard to create and maintain its whiteness. Black people were excluded from settling in Oregon. California toyed with similar laws, and while it banned slavery in the state constitution, Democratic politicians controlled the state and sought to make life difficult for Black people. Chief among these were rules limiting schooling to whites only and preventing Black witnesses from testifying in court against whites. As one historian put it, that made it so that the best Black man could not beat the worst white man in a court of law. If California couldn't have slavery, and there were early attempts to establish it there, it could make normal life nearly impossible for Black folks. By the late 1850s, there were some 4,000 Black Americans in California and a thriving community of around 1,000 in San Francisco. Some made money in the gold fields, others as merchants. A Black church, Black-owned newspaper, and a strong civil rights organization had been formed, but the battles for justice were all uphill as federal offices, the courts, and the state government were controlled by anti-Black Democrats. A case that ignited the community was that of a teenaged enslaved man named Archie Lee, who was brought to California by his white enslaver. Lee was afraid his owner would take him back to Mississippi, where they were from. The 1857 Dred Scott Supreme Court decision ruled that fugitive slaves were property that must be returned. Archie Lee asked for his freedom in a free state. A legal battle royale took place. The Black community and white allies threw in to help Archie, but legal decisions went back and forth for months with Lee held in various jails. If a non-fugitive could be enslaved in a free state, what meaning did the slavery ban in the California Constitution have? Finally, a federal magistrate freed Lee, but while the battle for his freedom was won, it underlined the grave problems facing Black Californians. Would they be free tomorrow? Looking for safer haven, the community turned its eyes to the British colony of Vancouver Island, whose governor extended a welcome to Black immigrants. James Douglas, himself of mixed-race ancestry, said that Blacks in Victoria could own businesses, buy property, vote, become citizens, attend school, and escape America's racial bigotry. So in the spring of 1858, hundreds of San Francisco's Black population pulled up stakes for Victoria. Douglas wanted immigrants in part because the Fraser River and Caribou gold rushes in British Columbia were drawing off workers. The colony needed bolstering against intruding gold-seeking white Americans, too. Douglas was alert to losing territory to the Americans, and border tensions were within sight of Victoria in the San Juan Islands. For their part, the Black immigrants were the first and largest influx of non-British immigrants to the colony. They came from all walks of life and were quickly key players in budding Victoria. Some were hired as policemen, and the province's first militia was born, the all-Black Pioneer Rifles. Mifflin Wistar Gibbs, a free Black businessman who had toured rural New York with Frederick Douglass and done well in San Francisco, became the first Black person elected in British Columbia when he was voted onto the Victoria City Council. Gibbs captured the promise Victoria offered. "I cannot describe," he wrote in his memoir, "with what joy we hailed the opportunity to enjoy the liberty under the British lion denied us beneath the pinions of the American eagle." Gibbs had been a key player in freeing Archie Lee, and Archie joined the migration. So did the preacher and founder of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church of San Francisco, J.J. Moore. That church had raised much of the funds for Archie Lee's legal defense. Moore said the immigrants were looking for justice, suffrage, and the right to happy homes. Most of the immigrants settled in and around Victoria, but others moved out to farm, to settle on Salt Spring Island, or to join the hunt for gold in the BC interior. Some became British citizens, but integrating Victoria wasn't easy. While the governor was welcoming, other residents were not, especially a large influx of white Americans who demanded segregation in churches and theaters. The victory for the Union in the Civil War and the end of U.S. slavery signaled a new era for the expatriates. Many returned to the U.S., including Gibbs, who studied law and was the first elected Black judge in the U.S. in 1873, and later became U.S. consul to Madagascar. Moore wrote the history of the AME Zion Church, and Archie Lee returned to California, where he died of fever in 1870. The Black Exodus his case helped trigger became an important chapter in U.S. and Canadian history, and the motivation for it was captured in a verse by one of the Black Californians, a poet named Priscilla Stewart.
God bless the Queen's majesty, her scepter and her throne. She looked on us with sympathy and offered us a home. Far better breathe Canadian air, where all are free and well, than live in slavery's atmosphere and wear the chains of hell.
All right, y'all. So that's the end of that video. We just wanted to play that quick little clip right there. But what we really can take from this, even because this segment, we're doing global Black history, and like I said, we can do all types of history. But what it literally shows us is that even around the world, right, no matter your race, we happen to be talking about the Black race right now, or Black ethnicity right now. So many people have been through different things, and they all have landed somewhere different, and where they've landed, they've gone through things to be there, to get there, to stay there, to survive there. And it is really one big fight, honestly, like that we all have, because there's injustices, and there's inequalities when it comes to being a Black or brown person, no matter where you land on this globe and what area you're in. And that's why we do this, global Black history segment here on the lives, because it really is important for us to understand we are one. We are one as a Black people, but we also are one as a human race. And so, it's hard. I don't try to like go out of my way to make a separation between that. But at some point in time, we do understand there is sometimes a slight difference, but experiences for anybody is a thing. But we just happen to be talking about Black history globally. Imani, you want to go, girl?
Yeah, I just wanted to give them three films about Canadian Black history. The first one is Journey to Justice. That's the story of Black Canadians throughout history. It includes slavery, discrimination, civil rights, and Black migration. The second one is called Speakers for the Dead, documents the destruction of Africaville, I think it's called. Excellent for discussing forgotten Black Canadian history. And the third one is The Road Taken. It's a history of the railway porters. It's a wonderful film. I'm just reading the review about dignity and perseverance through hardship. And before we have a little song break, I just wanted to talk about some key Canadian people. I think I've heard Maggie mention this woman several times, Viola Desmond. She challenged racial segregation by refusing to leave a whites only section of a Nova Scotia theatre. Her case became a landmark symbol for the fight for civil rights in Canada. We spoke about Mary Shad Carey. She became the first Black woman in North America to publish a newspaper. She used education and journalism to promote equality, self reliance, and abolition. Rosemary Brown was the first Black woman elected to a Canadian provincial legislature. She championed equality, women's rights, and social justice throughout her career. Lincoln Alexander, he was Canada's first Black Member of Parliament and later the first Black Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. His leadership inspired generations to pursue public service and break barriers. We've got Jean Augustine. She was or Jean Augustine, you could say, sorry. She was the first Black woman elected to Canada's House of Commons. She successfully led the campaign to have February officially recognised as Black History Month in Canada. Mifflin Wister Gibbs, he became one of the first Black elected officials in what is now British Columbia. His business and civic leadership helped shape early communities in Western Canada. John Ware, he became one of Canada's most respected ranchers despite facing racism. His skill and determination helped build Alberta's ranching industry. Portia White, she became the first Black Canadian concert singer to achieve international acclaim. Her success opened doors for future generations of Black performers. Anderson Ruffin Abbott, he was the first Black Canadian born physician. His achievements in medicine broke racial barriers and demonstrated excellence in public service. Carrie Best, she founded a newspaper to expose racial discrimination and give Black Canadians a voice. Her lifelong advocacy helped advance civil rights and freedom of the press in Canada. That's it. That's all from me. And maybe we can have that second song break, which I believe is your We Shall Overcome song. Is that right?
Yes. Oh yeah, you did that so excellently. I love how you read. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into our second song break, y'all. Just because we like to give y'all a break from just listening to our voices and the videos, and we don't want to make it like a classroom, right? So let's go ahead and get a little boppity bop on, child, and then we'll come back. When we come back, we'll be hopping into, and Imani will be getting into the Black British history, right? Within this week, historically in the past. So let's go ahead and play this song, y'all, and we will be right back.
We shall overcome. Through the fire and the rain, we still run. We shall overcome. They can't eclipse the light of the sun. Deep in my heart, I still believe we shall overcome someday. Right. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Just a ticking clock in a dark slip pad. But someday feels like it's slipping away. 2020's fixed and we're back in the fray. Yo, yo, look, it's 2026 and the cycle is vicious. They're erasing the progress, making us suspicious. Rolling back the DII, cutting the light, targeting the cities in the middle of the night. I see the ice ages moving through the Twin Cities. Another life lost, no mercy, no pity. They say merit-based, but we know the code. It's a heavy weight, it's a long dark road. They're taking King's name, but they're killing the dream. Dismantling the systems, or so it would seem. From the border to the block, the tension is rising, but the spirit of the people, man, is still enterprising. We reclaim the day, we reclaim the street. You can hear the revolution in the pulse of the beat. They want us divided, they want us in fear, but the voice of the warrior is perfectly clear. No queen and a G for the ones who oppress. We're standing for the truth, nothing more, nothing less. Whether it's the legal gaps or the climate in crisis, our resilience is the gold, and that's what the price is. We shall overcome. We won't back down. We shall overcome. We hold the ground. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We're still here, 2026, still fighting. Someday is now.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for that quick little song break right there. I hope y'all like the song. The words are very powerful. But we will be moving on now, like I said, to the next part of our life. And we'll be hearing
I
some
gotta
about
say,
Black. Yeah,
gotta
Imani.
say, sorry, I gotta say that song is fire. It's fire.
Oh, you like it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad y'all like the song. Thank you. It just I remade it. You know what I mean? Like it's a song that I used to listen to a lot. My grandma, I used to play, and I used to hear a lot, and so I just wanted to put a little, little updated spin on it or whatnot. But the words and the actual power within that song, I think it's important for us to keep that alive. So I just did a little different rendition of it. So I'm glad you like it, girl. But you're gonna have to take the floor up, girl, because you got to get into this British
Yeah.
Black history. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and do it, and let me go ahead and mute my mic. Let's get into it.
Okay. I've only got 5 events for each region, and I'm going to try and do my speed reading if I can, and I don't trip over my own teeth. Here we go. July the 31st, 1833 is Slavery Abolition Act. It passed Parliament in the UK. Britain votes to end slavery throughout most of the British Empire. The Slavery Abolition Act passed through the British Parliament. The act received royal assent on Africans in the Caribbean, South Africa, and Canada. However, freedom didn't arrive overnight. Many formerly enslaved people were forced into an apprenticeship system, requiring them to continue working for their former enslavers for several more years before full emancipation. Why does it matter? This is one of the most significant pieces of legislation in British history. It represented the culmination of decades of campaigning by formerly enslaved Africans, black abolitionists, religious groups, and white allies. But it also reminds us of an uncomfortable truth. The British government paid approximately £20 million in compensation, not only to the formerly enslaved not to the formerly enslaved, but to the slave owners. The enslaved received one big fat zero. The compensation represented around 40% of the government's annual budget at the time. And the lasting legacy, the Act transformed the British Empire. It also laid the foundation for today's annual Emancipation Day commemorations on August the 1st. You got me tripping over that word now. It remains central to discussions about reparations, historical justice, Britain's role in the transatlantic slave trade, and the legacy of slavery today. August the 1st, Emancipation Day. On August 1st, 1834, the Slavery Abolition Act officially came into force for most of the British Empire. Across Britain's colonies, enslaved Africans legally became free, although many faced, obviously, as I said, apprenticeships. Today, Black communities across Britain commemorate Emancipation Day through educational events, church services, historical lectures, cultural celebrations, and community festivals. It matters because Emancipation Day reminds Britain that slavery was not just simply an American institution. Britain transported millions of enslaved Africans, profited enormously from slavery, and built significant parts of its economy through the slave trade. July the 31st, 1965, Britain receives the first Caribbean nurses under the major NHS recruitment drive. During late July and early August period in the 1960s, Britain was actively recruiting nurses from the Caribbean to address severe staff shortages. Thousands of women came from Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, St. Lucia, Nigeria, Ghana, and travelled to Britain. They became the backbone of many NHS hospitals. The NHS could not have developed into the institution that it is now without migrant workers from the Caribbean, Africa, and South Asia. Many Caribbean, African, and Indian nurses experience racism, housing discrimination, unequal opportunities, but continue to care for patients every single day. Then on August the 2nd, 1981, and this is something we'll have a little video about because 1981 was a very significant year for what we used to know as riots, but they now call uprisings, our gentrified word for it now. Following uprisings in Brixton, Toxteth, and other British cities, Lord Scarman continued his investigation into policing and race relations throughout the summer. By early August, there was a national debate centered on his findings. The inquiry recognized racial disadvantage, poor community relations, unemployment, policing, bad policing practices as major contributors to unrest. For the first time, an official British inquiry publicly acknowledged that racial discrimination contributed to tensions between black communities and the police. And that report influenced policing, community relations, and studies on institutional racism. And then on the 1st of August, the Windrush legacy is remembered. It matters because although Windrush Day is celebrated in early June, early August is often used by museums and community organisations to continue educational programmes connected to the Windrush legacy and the Caribbean contribution to Britain. The Windrush generation transformed Britain by contributing to transport, healthcare, education, manufacturing, public services, and the military service. Windrush reminds us that Black British history is British history. The generation helped rebuild Britain after the Second World War, despite facing a lot of discrimination, and decades later, the Windrush scandal, their contribution remains immeasurable. Basically, with the Windrush scandal, a lot of people didn't have what you had to do was if you came over on a British Commonwealth passport, which all of the people from the British Empire did, you had to fill out naturalization papers to get your citizenships. Well, many of these people that came over here were working hard, looking after their kids, and some of them didn't do this paperwork. It's a bit like a lot of the people in the US that don't have IDs. So what happened during the Tory government, and I believe Theresa May was in the Home Office, they started to send people back that had been here, some of them for 50 years or more, to their land of their birth. And some of these people were just deported back to a land they didn't know anything about. Some of these were children of people that they were actually born in the UK. And there were a few people that lost their lives because they were just deported back as they were, no money, no nothing, and to a land they didn't even know. Some of them didn't even know. So that is what the Windrush scandal is. But I believe you have got a video, Golden, that talks about 1981 and the uprisings in the UK.
Yes, we do. So let's go ahead and pop this up real quick, y'all, and we can watch this together and we'll meet y'all in the chat. Let's get right into it.
To understand today, you have to know about yesterday. A key moment in the history of Black people in the United Kingdom can be traced back to 1 year, 1981, and one street, New Cross Road, London. On the 18th of January, a fire tore through number 439 New Cross Road, where Yvonne Ruddock and Angela Jackson were celebrating their birthdays. It killed 13 young people. Many more were injured, and one more person died 2 years later. The case wasn't solved then. It still isn't now. The level of racist attacks in the community led to suspicion about who was responsible. That suspicion, hurt, and anger went ignored by most politicians and the media, and the police were accused of mishandling the investigation. The New Cross Massacre Action Committee was formed and led to the organisation of a march in protest. So on the 2nd of March 1981, thousands of Black people from across the country came to the streets of London, a day known as the Black People's Day of Action. But those voices went unheard. The New Cross fire became a symbol of the suffering and neglect that many Black people felt. Soon, a wave of resistance would spread across the nation. In April 1981, the police launched the controversial Operation Swamp. that appeared to deliberately echo Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's comment that British people might be afraid of being swamped by people of a different culture. Within a matter of days, hundreds of people were stopped and searched. Many were arrested. The community were upset and suspicious of the way the police were handling the operation. And by the 10th of April, they'd had enough and fought back. There were street battles between the protesters and the police. Vehicles and buildings were set on fire. For 3 days, Brixton burned as the community protested against their treatment at the hands of the police and the government. Their voices were heard across the country. In the mostly black neighbourhood of Toxteth, Liverpool, people were facing mass unemployment, poverty, and intensive policing. The arrest of Leroy Alphonse Cooper on the 3rd of July provoked an angry crowd of witnesses, and 9 days of unrest began. Over 500 people were arrested, 468 police injured, and for the first time in the UK, police used CS gas on the crowds. On the 8th of July, tensions in Moss Side, Manchester had reached breaking point. Black male youth unemployment rates had soared to 80%, and the use of stop and search strained the relationship between the public and the police. The powder keg that had been building exploded with 1,000 young people sieging on Moss Side Police Station. Unrest continued for 2 days, with the previously unheard finding a voice in the only language that it seemed would be listened to. By 1981, policing in Handsworth, Birmingham was so intense that 40% of black youth had been stopped and searched in the previous year. With tensions at boiling point, the rumour of a National Front march in the area caused outrage. On the 10th of July, 2 nights of insurrection left a mark that could no longer be ignored. Across Britain, more protests began in 30 cities, including Portsmouth, Stoke, Nottingham, Sheffield, Chapeltown, Leeds, and Newcastle. These events of 1981 are a key part of our national history, events that should be known about and remembered by all of us. A past that should never be forgotten.
Right, that was the year of a lot of riots in the UK, and I do, the New Cross fire was a trigger warning was a very key thing. I think there were 14 young black people that were at a house party, and a fire was set, and they, it's like yet another of these investigations. They said that someone had dropped a cigarette in there, but because that area had a rise in a group called the National Front, who were a far right racist group, it was believed that someone had thrown a trigger warning, a petrol bomb into the house, and that mystery has never ever been resolved. These were young people they were very young, under the age, a lot of people under the age of 21, and 14 people were in that fire. Trigger warning. So that was the start. That was in January of 1981, and then we had the sus laws, where you see they stopped about 40% of the black youth in area. In some areas it was higher, and that set off this kind of knock-on effect in areas that had a high concentration of black people residing in those areas. So that was a very significant time in black history in the UK.
Wow. See, this is what I love doing this segment for, and having these type of conversations, because a lot of this history that even me and you go through and we talk about, for these lives, a lot of these things I don't know, that's happening in the UK, in areas, in other countries and whatnot. But we do our research and we find it out and we learn, and now we know. And that's what I think it's about, to really learn and understand the experiences that, our people have had all over the globe. Thank you so much for that, Imani. Did you want to
No,
keep moving forward? Or you got
I'll
a
keep moving on. I'll go on to the Caribbean, and I will give you some films and some significant people after I finish this. I'm just going to do my quick run through, my speed read,
sure.
hopefully. Right,
No,
for
take
the
your time.
Caribbean, Um,
Mhm.
I'm not going to repeat this, but it's the Slavery Abolition Act that came into force on the 1st of August. So you'll see that date it goes across Black History, August the 1st, and once again, freedom came at a limitation. Um, more than 200 years. um, for more than 200 years, the Caribbean had been at the centre of Britain's wealth, and those profits helped finance Britain's industrial revolution, the banks, insurance company, the ports, the railways, the country estates, and the universities. This is what we contributed to. This is what people don't realise. We made these people really rich. And of course, we've got across the Caribbean the celebration of Emancipation Day. I don't need to go through that again, but church bells rang, prayer meetings were held, people gathered until midnight to celebrate. Um, After emancipation, many formerly enslaved people were allowed to purchase land, they built villages, they established churches, it created schools, and it founded independent communities in the Caribbean. On the 30th of July 1970, in Trinidad and Tobago, there was a Black Power revolution. By late 1970, Trinidad and Tobago was experiencing one of the Caribbean's most important social movements. It was inspired by the American Civil Rights Movement and by Trinidad born Stokely Carmichael. Thousands marched demanding economic justice, educational opportunity, black pride, local ownership, and political accountability. The movement was led by Macandal Diaga. His name was formerly Geddes Granger. The historical context of this is Trinidad had gained independence only 8 years earlier in 1962. Many people asked, if we're independent, why are foreign companies still controlling much of our economy? Why are so many young people unemployed? And why hasn't independence benefited ordinary citizens equally? It matters because the movement challenged Caribbean governments to think beyond flags and constitution. Political independence meant very little without economic opportunity, educational equality, cultural confidence. And the movement influenced education, African heritage awareness, labor rights, youth activism, and Caribbean political thinking. Many historians regard it as one of the most defining moments of post independence Caribbean history. The Black Power Revolution asked a question that still matters today. Is independence complete if economic power remains concentrated in the hands of a few? Isn't that a familiar question? Now, on July the 28th, 1950, the US occupation of Haiti began. What happened then? Well, US Marines landed in Haiti after political instability followed the assassination of President Vilbrun Guillaume Sam. The occupation lasted until 1934. During that period, the United States reorganized Haiti's Haiti's finances, rewrote parts of its constitution, expanded infrastructure, and increased military control. It matters because supporters argued that the supporters of it, occupation modernized it, but critics argued that it undermined its sovereignty. Many Haitians resisted foreign control through armed resistance and political activism. The lasting legacy is that the occupation continues to shape discussions about Caribbean sovereignty, foreign intervention, international relations, and political development. History teaches us, in this case, that intervention is rarely simple. One nation's attempt to create stability may be experienced by another nation as a loss of independence. And where is the line between assistance and control? Then on the 31st of, July the 31st to August the 1st, African heritage celebrations happen throughout the Caribbean. Across Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, Grenada, and many other Caribbean nations, the period surrounding Emancipation Day celebrates African heritage. The communities hold traditional drumming, storytelling, libation ceremonies, lectures, historical exhibitions, cultural performance, and African fashion events. In Barbados, these celebrations coincide with the famous Crop Over Festival, whose origins go back to the end of the sugar harvest and have evolved into one of the Caribbean's largest cultural festivals. It matters because slavery attempted to erase African languages, religion, music, family structures, and identities, but African culture still survived. It evolved into reggae, calypso, soca, mento, kumina, Chicano, steel pan, and carnival traditions. The lasting legacy is today's celebrations are not simply festivals, they're acts of historical remembrance. They celebrate survival, they celebrate resilience, and they celebrate identity. And that's it for the Caribbean. And I think we've got one video there, one short video about the Caribbean. I can't remember what we did. I think it might be about the Trinidad and Tobago Black Power movement.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a video from the 1970s of the Black Power Revolution. Let's go ahead and get that popped up real quick. Let's take a look at that, y'all, together. Give me just a few minutes to get everything set. Oh,
Whilst you're at it, I'm just going to talk about the 10 British black figures. Oludai Equiano, he used his words to challenge slavery. This is for the UK. Mary C. Cole transformed the healthcare through compassion. Walter Tull broke barriers in sport and military service. Claudia Jones used culture to unite communities. Paul Stevenson proved peaceful protest could change discriminatory practices. Diane Abbott, one of our first black women in politics, she expanded political representation. Connie Mark preserved the legacy of the black military service. John Blanky reminds us that black presence in Britain dates over 500 years. Len Garrison ensured black British history would not be erased, and the Windrush generation helped rebuild modern Britain after the Second World War. You can go ahead with the Caribbean video.
all right, y'all. Let's get right into it. We'll play this and watch it together, and we'll meet y'all in the chat.
It's a period in time referred to as the 1970 Black Power Revolution, led by the late NJAC leader McCandle Dagger, then Geddes Granger, and Dave Darbrough, now Kafra Cambon, and Ifibo Wilkinson, all students of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. Mr. Cambon said the Black Power movement of the United States and the struggle for equal rights in Canada by students of the Sir George Williams University in Montreal ignited a passion in UWI students. Mr. Cambon, who was 23 years old at the time, said they closely monitored the developments abroad. A march on February 26, 1970, descended on the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, and the demonstrators invaded the sacred space. Mr. Cambon told TTT News, at the time, their demonstration was a peaceful one.
I think maybe 2 statues might have been covered, the heads covered. But the next day, you talk about the painted statues, black and all this. That's complete nonsense, I could tell you right away.
Mr. Cambon said another march took place on April 6th, in which fellow protester Basil Davis was shot and killed by a police officer in the vicinity of Woodford Square. His funeral was the largest ever in the country at the time. There were also threats of a nationwide strike fueled by a sugar workers' strike on April 18th that year. Shortly after, warrants were issued for the arrests of those instrumental in leading the Black Power movement.
Think everybody say, we're fighting this, we ain't taking this, so we ain't taking this line down. We're not depending on the courts. So by the time the next time we went to court, and the police acted against people, people spontaneously went and started to break up show windows in Port of Spain. That was the beginning of breaking up of show windows.
There were 56 days of marches and protests throughout the country. Mr. Cambon and others were arrested yet again and taken to the Coast Guard headquarters in Chaguaramas. A state of emergency had been declared. Without being told where they were being taken, the men were whisked away to the remote and desolate Nelson Island.
Some of us did not stay very long, but some stayed for the full length of the emergency, which was about 8 months, either 7 or 8 months. The rest, some of us were taken out after a few days, maybe a week, and taken to Her Majesty's headquarters on Frederick Street. So
Asked what, if anything, was achieved from the 1970 revolution, Mr. Cambon said employment practices have certainly changed and non-whites can now own properties.
the country was just racist, right? I not that I was looking for one, make no mistake about it, but I would not have been able to get a job in a bank, right? Because of my color. You would not have been able to get a job in a bank.
The leader of the Emancipation Support Committee said if he had to do it all again, he would without hesitation. He said there's still an undercurrent of racism throughout the country, but he continues to work towards equality for all. Crystal Wilson, TTT News.
All right, y'all. So thanks for rocking with us to that video. Imani, go ahead, girl. You got the floor.
Right, this is my last section. Don't worry, it's not going to be too long. You're probably tired of hearing my voice by now.
I love
28th of
hearing
July.
your voice. I never hear enough of it, girl.
On the 28th of July, 1914, the First World War, we're in the diaspora, we're in Africa now, and this is the last section. On the 28th of July, 1914, the First World War officially began. Although the conflict is usually remembered as a European war, Africa became one of its first major battlefields. Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, and Portugal all controlled African colonies. When war broke out, those colonies became military targets. Hundreds of thousands of African men were recruited as soldiers. Millions more worked as porters, labourers, railway builders, medical assistants, transport workers, and many never returned home. Campaigns took place in Tanzania, which was a common colony of Germany, Kenya, Uganda, Namibia, Cameroon, and Togo. Entire African communities were drawn into a war they'd never chosen. Many Africans fought for European empires that denied them equal political rights. African contributions to both world wars remain one of history's most overlooked stories. These soldiers displayed extraordinary courage despite living under colonial rule. Many historians argue that after returning home, African veterans began asking a powerful question. If we're good enough to fight for freedom overseas, why are we denied freedom in our own countries? That question helped fuel later independence movements. So World War One began to accelerate African nationalism, and many future independence leaders were inspired by the contradictions of the colonial rule. That was, that's 28th of July, 1914. I think we got a video about that a bit later. And July 31st, 1963 was the formation of the OAU, Organisation of African Unity, Although founded in May 1963, late July and early August marked the period when African governments began implementing many of the Organisation of African Unity's first initiatives following its inaugural summit. And remember, before we talked about the fact that independence occurred for a lot of African and Caribbean countries occurred in July and August in the 60s, and particularly years, early 60s. And as I said, they were probably too hot. They couldn't be bothered anymore. They said, let them be free. Leaders included leaders
Okay.
in Leaders included Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Julius Nyerere, and they believe Africa needed greater unity after colonialism. Why does it matter? The OAU supported liberation movements across Angola, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa, and it became Africa's collective political voice. August the 1st, we talked about this before. This is when Nelson Mandela's, this 1981, his international campaign was intensified. And during the summer of 1981, really significant that there were riots in the UK during 81. Were there any significant riots in the US during the early 80s? That'll be an interesting one to look up. During the summer of 81, because that was the year that there was a lot of rioting in the UK. International campaigns demanded the release of Nelson Mandela, and it began gathering momentum. And although Mandela remained in prison on Robben Island, protests across Africa, Britain, Europe, and North America, funnily enough, expanded the movement, and it called for sanctions, boycotts, divestment, and diplomatic pressure. Mandela became a global symbol. His imprisonment reminded the world that apartheid was not simply South Africa's problem, it was an international human rights issue. The worldwide solidarity movement eventually helped isolate apartheid internationally. And on August the 2nd, 1990, Africa responded to the Gulf crisis. What happened on August 2nd, 1990? Iraq invaded Kuwait. And although this occurred outside Africa, many African nations faced immediate diplomatic and economic consequences. Countries including Egypt, Morocco, and Senegal contributed forces to the international coalition. Others focused on diplomacy. The crisis demonstrated Africa's growing role in international affairs. African governments increasingly participated in peacekeeping, diplomacy, international security, and United Nations operations. Africa's never simply just been has never simply been affected by world events. African nations have increasingly helped shape international diplomacy and global security. Okay. And obviously, we have the Pan-African heritage celebrations that happen around Emancipation Day. We've discussed this. It's the same thing. You get conferences, cultural celebrations. So as you can see, a lot all around the world, there's these celebrations that happen on July the 31st and August the 1st, which is Emancipation Day. And there you have it. That's it. That's all from me from the international global history. And really, what I will tell you is we will be posting the significant people that we should be thinking about during this week. And also, just a quick one, I think I've just got a couple of movies that you guys might want to see. Oh, we'll put it in the video description. I think that's enough for me. And I think you've got one video about the war, and then we're going to end with some closing statements. Is that okay, Golden?
Yes, girl, that sounds great. I need you to get you a sip of water like I needed to get me a sip of water, girl, because you just read through a lot. But I know you were saying, like, were there some additional things that were happening as well in the U.S. around, the 1980s and whatnot. And, we covered a little bit of these things before. It's be so much to cover, child. So, but yeah, we did have some things that was going here in the United States around the 1980s. We had the Voting Rights Act's extension in 1982, right? We had Martin Luther King Day became a federal holiday in 1983. It was observed, though, in 1986. We had the Civil Rights Restoration Act that happened in 1988, and the Fair Housing Amendments Acts in 1988 as well. And then we have, some landmarks and political electoral milestones that were made as well when it comes to like Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Coalition between 1984 and 1988. Pioneering municipal victories. That's, Chicago's first black mayor in 1983. In New York City, we had David Dinkins. He was elected in 1989. Child, the list goes on. They was kicking it off in the 80s. But, that was a lot of, for us in the U.S., I don't know if there was a Black Panther Party in other countries, but I know in the U.S. we definitely had the Black Panther Party, and they really was kicking things off around the 1980s. And so there were a lot of historical,
No, I was talking about 1981 specifically because there seemed to be a lot of protests that year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, but anyway,
1980.
we can look that up. That's just it was just a question I wondered on because that was the year of the riots. That was the year of a lot of protests about
Oh,
apartheid. That was all. I'll look it up. It's no biggie.
yeah, it's okay if that's
Yeah,
specific. Yeah. So,
yeah,
it probably was something going on. Cause like I said,
yeah.
child, they was holding it down in the
Right. So
1980s.
I think you've got a short video on the World War I, the African soldiers, and I think we'll end it after that. It's a really quick video, I think, on their contribution to the war.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Let me go ahead and play this, and we'll meet y'all in the chat.
Four terrible years more than. It's 1918. For 4 terrible years, more than 40 countries have been mired in the bloodshed of the biggest conflict so far known to man. Countries across Europe were caught up in the conflagration, but Africa too was drawn into what was truly a world war. A conflict that changed the African continent forever. This is the story of the First World War told from the African perspective. More than 2 million Africans were killed between 1914 and 1918, both civilians and soldiers. Many were forced to fight for their colonial masters. France recruited more Africans than any other colonial power, sending 450,000 troops from West and North Africa to fight on the front line in Europe. Troops were also deployed on the continent of Africa itself.
All right, y'all. Let's just take a quick little song break. StreamYard's acting weird and things of that nature. So hold on with us just a little bit longer. We're gonna play a song, and then I'm gonna try to finish that video off for us if we can. They were interrupting the video, and so you know what that could possibly mean. And so
We'll just play a song,
I can't.
Golden. We don't want to get struck if someone's trying to strike it.
Yeah, these
But
weird.
it was just a
They
short
have this
video on the contribution. We'll put the link in the description
chat,
about the World
home
War.
description. Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
just do it that way sometimes, y'all, because stranger things are happening, and so
Yeah, we'll put that link in the video description, and I'll put the films. There's a few films for this era for around that help to give the information, and those will also be in the video description, as well as the important figures that people may want to go and do research on. But yeah, do you want to? Are you playing a song, and then we're coming back for a closing statement, or do you want to do a closing statement and a song on the way out?
let's do the closing statements and a song on the way out. Do you want to start
Yeah.
first, or you want me to start? You go first, because I know it's later there for you.
Yeah, okay. Right. So, where am I? Hold on. Sorry. No. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah. I just wanted to say, one of the messages from today's discussion is not everything. First of all, I'll start with my housekeeping. Not everything deserves your energy, but sometimes we have to call things out when we feel it's necessary. There's real strength in protecting your peace, choosing your battles wisely, and refusing to be distracted by every bit of chaos and argument. But if you're building a platform, ask yourself, what example am I setting? If your content relies on dragging people and not kindly roast, there's a difference between dragging and roasting, I think. Mocking their appearance or their financial circumstances. What lessons are you passing to your children or the young people watching you? If your content, sorry, none of us knows what tomorrow holds. Illness, redundancy, disability, caring for a loved one, or unexpected hardship can change anyone's circumstances. There is no shame in accepting lawful support when it's needed. Another thought, be careful about inserting yourself into other people's business, arguments, friendships, relationships. People just don't need, there's enough interference going on in things, women's bodies, all sorts of stuff these days. We just don't need any more interference. Protect your peace. And history has taught us that people are remembered not simply for what they achieved, but for the character they displayed along the way. The same is true for us. Long after the arguments have faded and the live streams have ended, people will remember how we treated others and what our contribution was. So let's choose some dignity over drama, compassion over cruelty, truth over rumors, and wisdom over reaction. And let's make history great for our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, nephews, the children that are not even ours, that are to come. Make them proud of us. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you on the next time. And I love you all as per. And just remember, we're too blessed to be stressed. Good night and God bless.
Amen, girl. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for rocking with me, and such a lovely co-host with so much intellect and beauty and personality to bring to the platform. So it's really been a great journey spending time with you and being co-host with you. And so thank you so much for that beautiful word. I'm gonna go ahead and give my word, and then we're gonna get the peoples up out of here because we don't want to keep them for too long. And so, yeah, we really hope that y'all enjoy this live and you enjoy this type of content that we bring to you. But as we, bring this live to a close, I want us to take a moment to really sit with everything we walked through this afternoon and evening. We traveled across continents, through centuries, and across borders. And when you look at the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, the Caribbean, and Africa, you realize that while distance may separate us, our stories are fundamentally one. We are scattered across the globe, living in different countries, navigating different systems, and carrying distinct local struggles. But at our core, we share a rich, unbreakable bloodline of survival, brilliance, leadership, and faith. This is why we do this content week after week. This isn't just a stream or a broadcast for us. This is deeply personal. It is dear to our hearts because honoring our people, preserving our history, and speaking our truth is how we make sure our ancestors' sacrifices are never forgotten and our children's futures are built on solid foundation. Unity is the ultimate goal. When we understand where we come from, we stop seeing each other through the division of geography or circumstance, and we start seeing each other as family. As we fight for our community, we say this with open hearts. Loving our people does not mean excluding anyone else. Every race, every culture, and every community on this earth carries its own history, its own pain, and its own triumphs. We honor those stories and we hold deep love and respect for the entire human race. History teaches us that our struggles are real, but our power is greater. We're not just surviving history, we're actively shaping it every single day. So we have to walk with our heads held high, stay grounded in our truth, and keep lifting each other up. And remember that when we stand united, there's no limit to what our future can hold. So thank you all for being here with us this evening on our Black History Across the Globe. Honor to the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. Everybody, y'all have a good evening, a good afternoon, a good night, or maybe even a good morning. And continuous love and unity to you all. You know how we do it over here, y'all. We're going to go ahead and end it with a bop. And thank you for that, Asher. Asher said, shout out to Mama Ward. Y'all know she always in the background, child. She was over there wrestling around with the little baby boy for me. But we're getting ready to eat some dinner and stuff, y'all. So, yeah, but she'll be back. And sometimes she do her own lives on her channel too. So y'all can check her out sometime if y'all want to. She does really great lives. But yeah, thank you, Split. Shout out to Asher. Shout out to Mom Star. I know she said she was going to bed. She had to go to bed. Of course, my lovely co-host Imani. And let me see. Well, there was another person that came in, but anyway, never mind that.
And shout out to the replay crew.
Right. If you watch on the replay, thank you so much as well. We really appreciate that. Shout out to Daisy. Daisy was here as well. Happy Life was here. Thank y'all for coming in. Of course, my boo Carlos was here earlier. Child, he be in and out. He don't stay for a long time. He just here for a good time, not a long time. But anyway,
Yeah, shout
y'all.
out to Daisy. She's a loyal supporter as well. Shout out to Split Media, Asha, Mum Star. Love you all, guys. Thank you for bearing with us. We just like to do this. It's a little bit of different content, and it's
Exactly.
enjoyable. We're learning stuff ourselves through this, and there will be stuff in the description that can help. There'll be resources and films and stuff that people can go and check out, and documentaries.
Yeah. And we're gonna get back to what we used to do too, Shaw, because we be doing some fun stuff like game night and things like that, karaoke night. So some fun things, not all educational. Even though education is so important right now because we're up against a lot, y'all. And so the more we educate ourselves, the more we can prepare ourselves and be ready for the combats that may be to come. Because y'all, they trying to come at us with everything they have in the toolbox. But every now and then we need to take a break and we need to have a little bit of fun and kick it. So we'll do, some music and chill, some game night and chill, some karaoke and chill, all of that type of stuff. We're going to incorporate some more of that in as well. But thank you all so much. We appreciate each and every one of you.
And shout out to you, Golden, my lovely co host, for giving me the opportunity to be on this platform. And shout out to Golden for her music, how versatile her songs are. Shout out to you. Go and listen to Golden Queen music. That was really great. Lift every voice, and we shall overcome. And, whatever you're going to play us out with, I know is going to be another great song. So shout out to you, or a couple of songs. Okay. See you later.
It's always a couple of songs. But yeah, see you later, girl. I'll talk to you in a bit. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and end us off with some boppity bop bop bops and let y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow, y'all, with some other things. I believe we're doing politics tomorrow. I'm not sure. I gotta find out for real. Because sometimes it all runs together, y'all, and y'all, my mind be all over the place. But I think we're doing some political updates tomorrow. It's a few new things that's coming out, so we will be reporting on that. But y'all, we just gotta cease fire at one another. We gotta cease fire in this world and towards one another. And that being said, let's go ahead and play this song right here, y'all, and I will talk to y'all in the next live. This is Golden and Imani, and we're out, y'all. Bye.
Yeah. Sisters, brothers, can we talk for a minute? Listen. Yeah. The air is thick with whispers, digital ghosts in the machine. They feed us fiction till our visions blur. You know the scene, you know it. Static on the screen, a 24-hour screen. All day, selling us a fractured dream, tearing at the seams. Facts, they got us locked in little boxes, picking sides. While the real tide rises. And nobody hides, nobody. Podiums are burning, bridges turn to ash and dust. They trade rhetoric like bullets, banking on our lack of trust. That's right. Got us debating headlines while the rent keeps going high. Got us fighting over labels while the future passes by. Like politicians playing chess with pawns that look like you and me. Selling off tomorrow for another jump in GDP. And what we talking about, the foolishness, the vanity. Arguing online while communities lose humanity. A fake voice on a fake beat gets more rage and more ink than a real mother working 3 jobs standing on the brick. They engineered the outrage, designed it to divide. So we never look up from our phones to see the coming tide. Can you hear the war drums pounding out a rhythm low? They're marching us to battle for a God we do not know. They want us choosing colors, but our blood all runs the same. Just strangers in a mirror, whispering a different name. And I'm praying for the day the sun won't care what shade we are. That we can see the human heart behind the battle scar. Tear down the flags and see the faces before we run out of safe places. I see the babies born into this atmosphere of hate. Taught to fear their neighbor before they learn to communicate. Lines drawn in the sand by hands that never touch the soil. While the working class backbone is bent in endless toil. From city blocks to country roads, from oceans to the plains. Different stories, different struggles, but we're carrying the same pain. Keep the people fighting over scraps upon the floor, so they never band together and demand a little more. Tell 'em they call it patriotism, tradition, call it pride. I call it ancient venom with a modern place to hide. Skin tone is the uniform they gave us for their war. The soul inside the flesh is what we should be fighting for. And I'm tired, so tired of singing this eulogy. Suction violent people drown beneath manufactured hostility. The people got the power if they ever truly see. See, the chains are built from fear, not inevitability. Break free. No politician can heal a divided heart. No billionaire can tell us who we are. Who we are. The answer lives inside the people. Inside the people. Inside the people. Can you hear the war drum pounding out a rhythm low? They're marching us to battle for a God we do not know. They want us choosing colors, but our blood all runs the same. Just strangers in a mirror, whispering a different name. And I'm praying for the day the sun won't care what shade we are. That we can see the human heart behind the battle scar. Tear down the flags and see the faces before we run out of safe places. What if we looked each other in the eye, past the melanin, past the zip codes, and the bank accounts they fence us in? What if our only currency was empathy and grace? What if we found our real reflection in a stranger's face? This ain't a lyric, it's a lifeline. This ain't a song, it's a reminder. The real war was never race against race or neighbor against neighbor. It's truth against deception, wisdom against ignorance, love against fear. And every single day we choose which side wins. Ooh. humanity cries. A roof above, a shelter from the storm, a gentle hand to keep a spirit warm, a plate of food, a mind that's free to learn, a simple peace, a righteous wage to earn. That's right. These are the needs, the bedrock and the base, the sacred ground of the whole human race. But the screen is screaming, selling something cheap, while the real world babies cry themselves to sleep. Can't ignore it. We are human. Blood and bone and soul. Say it loud. With a right to be loved. The right to be loved. A right to be made whole. This is our slave. This is our sacred song. In the eyes of the creator. It's where we all belong. We are human. Worth more than they can price. Beyond the hateful whispers and the loaded gun. Yeah, they're painting pictures, twisted and unreal, teaching our children how they ought to feel. All that value's in the label on your shoes, or the filtered life you desperately choose. They magnify the hate, they celebrate the greed, and plant a poison to suffocate your weed. We gotta reach our children, pull them from the glow and show them a beauty that the media don't know. Let them know. No take the vision, the mission of the television, spitting the vision, a mental prison. Got the youth chasing life's addicted to the feed, ignore the hunger, the fundamental need. Nigga love your vitals on the digital stage, putting the future artists in the ritual page. Now they gotta break the cycle, gotta cut the cord. The real word is powerful, mightier than the source. We teach them about their history, teach them about their grace, teach them about the power in every single face. Let's go. We are human. Loud and blown and soul. Everyone with a right to be loved, the right to be loved, a right to be made whole. This is our story. This is our sacred song. In the eyes of the creator, there we all belong. We are human. Worth more than they can price. The other hateful whispers in the loaded gun. We will build a world where every voice is heard. Every single one, from the suburbs to the burning. Love is not a whisper, but a mighty thundering word. A word of action, breaking the chain. A word of power, washing out the pain. It ain't a feeling, it's a verb. It's what you do for me, for them, for us, for you. Cause they just a track, just a call to action. For every mother, father, every single fraction of the put unity, holding it down on the ground. Time to get loud, make a revolutionary sound. Look your child in the eye, I tell her that they mad. I tell them their spirit's something that don't lie and shine. I tell them knowledge is the weapon, love is the shield, and the truth is the harvest. We gonna grow in this field, yeah. We are human. Oh yes, we are. Teach for children. Learn power. Teach for truth. Reach where you let the rules in the fruit. See the fruit. We are human. A right to live. Right to live. Oh. Teach the truth. Reach where you let the rules see the fruit. We are human. Sing a song on this cradle your tail. Gloria in Gloria in excelsis. Pressure, felt that pain. They told me it was over, told me just give in, but they don't know the power that's living within. Yeah, I'm looking at the mountain, down till the it is done. The battle's already over, the victory is won. So let the strings soar, let the strings soar. Let the heavens open wide, let the heavens open wide. I got the creator, I got the creator of the universe on my side. Now the night is over, all the breakthroughs coming. It's here to stay. It's always been victory. It's here to stay. Let the track record. The morning is here. Second just broke. They don't know her like I do. Nah. Golden. She moved through the city with her hair held high. Pretty brown skin with a storm inside. Everybody see the glow, they don't know the pressure. Smile so warm, but her heart no weather. Late nights riding while the skyline blur. Trying not to cry when the memories occurred. Had to learn fast, everybody ain't loyal. Some people love you long as they control you. Now she move careful, energy expensive. Too many fake vibes hiding in the friendship. Used to give love with her hands wide open. Now every scar got the whole vibe frozen. They don't know her like I. No, they don't know her like I. She goes by golden. Soft voice, deep soul, hope or glowing. She goes by golden. City lights dancing with her heart stay open. Long dark roads but she still stay focused. Everybody watching but they don't really know her. Too much grace with the games they throwing. Real love, rare soul spirits they got it. Beautiful soul but the pain left marks in it. Mirror tell the truth when the lights go dim. All the things she carry weight heavy within. She survived nights she don't even speak on. Still finding peace what the whole world ain't wrong. Funny how the love disappear when you're healing. Funny how the fate come around when you win. Now she trusts God more than people intend. Just cause smiles hot and being hidden in the big. She's still soft-hearted but she way less naive. Can't keep pouring love but there's nothing received. Still dancing slow through the hurt and confusion. Trying not to lose herself chasing illusions. She survived the fire. Still glowing through the smoke. Still sad. Still dangerous. Still chosen. She goes back golden. Snow so deep made the whole room notice. Heavy lies couldn't break what was chosen. Still standing tall while the whole world folding. She goes back golden. Heartbreak turned to pens in the matter. Now the tears got rhythm when she's singing. And they still don't know her like that. They still don't know her like that. Spend too much time looking for love in strangers. Spend too much time. Spend too much time letting outside voices shake the mirror. But at the end of the night, when the lights fade, when the city cried, when the tears dried, we still got